Good morning. It is Motivational Monday with me, Latroya. I just want to welcome you to our channel. If this is your first time here, I hope that you feel encouraged after this morning. And today I want to talk about faith. This can be found on my blog. My blog is www.latroyablue.com. I will leave it down in the description. But today I want to talk about faith. Faith is being sure of what we hope for. It is being sure of what we do not see. Faith is basically trusting and believing in God and what He has for us, even when we can't see it. I have a short story, so you're going to get used to it, but I like to link a lot of my gems and my encouragement with familiar stories or with things that you may be familiar with, just so that it's easier to visualize. I'm a visual person, so I like to be able to connect things. So one day I was at a home buying seminar, and the lady told a story about a dog, and I'm going to read this to you because I don't want to mess it up. So there was a lady who walked by this house every morning, and every morning there will be a dog sitting on the porch, and the dog would be on the porch moaning, and she never understood why every morning she walked past there was a dog sitting on the porch and the dog would just sit there and moan. So one morning she asked the owner, why was this dog moaning? She wanted to know, so she asked the owner, why does your dog sit on the porch and moan? And the owner replied that the dog was moaning because it was sitting on a nail. The lady asked, why won't the dog get up? The owner said, because the nail is not enough to make the dog get up. And I was just thinking about it, and one day I was just washing dishes, and I kept thinking about this story, and the Lord spoke to me, and He said, change nail to faith. And as I began to think about it, Lord says, there are people who are sitting on their faith, and they're moaning and they're groaning and they're just sitting there and they're not moving, and they're expecting a change. They are expecting something different to come about, but they're not doing anything. They're just sitting on their faith. And is that you today? Are you sitting on your faith? Are you moaning and groaning and complaining about your situations? You do not have the faith to trust God? Are you not getting up and allowing God to move and to show you the things that He has for you? Are you just sitting there complaining? Is your faith not enough to get you up? We cannot sit down on God. Faith is an action word. Faith requires you to do something, and it doesn't mean sit. It requires you to get up and do something, to put action behind what you believe, to put action behind what you are expecting to come out of your life, to put action behind whatever it is that you're trying to do. Faith is action, and you cannot sit down on God, and you cannot sit down on your faith. In order to use your faith, you have to get up. We have to do things even when it doesn't make sense. We don't make sense. Christians and people of God, we don't make sense. We make faith. We don't, the things that we do, people look at it and they wonder. Sometimes they probably think that we're crazy because the things that we do not make sense to the world. But it's because we don't make sense. We make faith. Our hope and our trust is in God and not of this world. So sometimes the things that we do not line up with common sense. It lines up with faith. I remember when God told me, I was working at a job. I've been there for 6 years, and I really enjoyed it. And I remember God telling me to quit my job. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I am a single mother of 3 children. Why would I quit my job? And I was really having a dialogue with God, like, why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It doesn't. I have 3 children. I'm a single mother. How am I supposed to provide for my children? God was like, you need to quit your job. So you know what I did? I quit my job because I trust in God. I had to put my faith in God. I had to believe that He had something way more better for me, something that I couldn't even think or imagine. And yes, I had 3 children to take care of, but God supplied our every need. And it was hard. There were times that we struggled, but we always had food on our table. We always had a roof over our head. We always had what we needed. And I don't know what God was protecting me from. I don't know what God was doing, but he had to remove me from a situation and place me in an uncomfortable spot so that I can trust him, so that I can lean on him, so that I know that he is everything that I can ever need. God is your ultimate resource. Everything that you need, you will find in God. You don't need anything else. If God is telling you you don't need it, you don't need it. And at that moment, I didn't need my job. I thought I needed my job. My bills said that I needed my job, but God said I didn't. And it was the craziest thing I've ever done. And it took a lot of faith. I had to get up off my faith, and I had to use my faith to do what God was telling me to do. And I'm so grateful for it. And in that season, I asked God, can I go to nursing school? I wasn't working. And I asked him, can I go to nursing school? And he said yes. And I'm RN at this moment. And I began to think, if I was working that job, raising my kids, trying to go to school, I would have never finished nursing school. Nursing school was so stressful. I would have never completed it because it was so much. But God knew what he was setting me up to do. So he had to remove me from a situation so that I can enter another season into my life. Matthew 17:20 says, and this is God talking, he replied, because you have so little faith. Truly I tell you, if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here, and it will be moved. Nothing will be impossible for you. And that's the NIV version. Nothing will be impossible for you. If you just have the faith of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. Maybe there's mountains in your life right now that you want out of your way. Maybe there's situations and circumstances that you feel like your back is against the wall, but you're sitting there and you're moaning and you're groaning and you're complaining and you're sitting on your faith and you're not doing anything about it. But God is saying, if you just use the faith that you have, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can move mountains and nothing will be impossible for you. Nothing. The world will be at your hands. You will be victorious in everything that you do because nothing will be impossible for you. And I want to keep saying nothing because sometimes we put God in a box. We put ourselves in a box. We put limits on ourselves because we feel like we can't do it. We can't accomplish those things. Those things are too big for us. God is saying nothing is impossible if you have faith the size of a mustard seed. And I don't know, have you ever seen or touched a mustard seed? They are the smallest seeds, but they create the biggest trees. The smallest amount of faith could create the most dramatic effect in your life. It could create the biggest change you've ever seen. You just gotta have faith. A mustard seed is so fragile. I bought a pack of mustard seeds just to see, how small they were, and they crumble. If you handle them too roughly or inappropriately, they crumble. Your faith is fragile. If you do not use your faith appropriately and properly, it will die. The Bible says faith without works is dead. So if you're just sitting on your faith and you're not using it and you're not doing anything, your faith will die and it will crumble into dust. Think about how you are using your faith. Are you constantly saying, I have faith, but you have no work to back up your faith? Step out on faith, trusting and believing what God has told you. Maybe God has told you to leave your job. Maybe God has told you to start that business. Maybe God has told you to leave that relationship. But because you don't have the faith and you don't trust him, you won't do it. Maybe God is telling you to try out for that play at school. Maybe God is telling you to join that club Step out when God is speaking to you. The benefit outweighs everything that you can even think of. What is God telling you to do today? What do you need your faith to do today? I encourage you to just step out on faith. So comment below if you need prayer. Comment below if you just have any questions. Comment below if you need any advice. I'm here and I'm willing to help you. But what I don't want is you to sit on your faith. Step out on faith. Trust God and watch Him move.